thunder rolled across the vast, untamed plains. Dark-skinned men on horseback rode with unwavering resolve into a world that had not yet learned to see them as equals. They were the Buffalo Soldiers, pioneers, warriors, and men whose courage would carve their names into the history of the American West. The year was 1866. The United States was a nation scarred and weary from the Civil War. Slavery had been abolished, yet freedom for African Americans was far from complete. For thousands of men, the end of the war did not mean the end of struggle. Life was uncertain, and opportunities were scarce. Into this landscape stepped the first official African American regiments in the U.S. Army, the Buffalo Soldiers. Congress authorized the creation of 6 segregated regiments, 2 cavalry and 4 infantry, as part of a broader push to strengthen the Army. Among these, the 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments would become legendary. Their mission was clear, yet brutal: patrol vast, lawless territories, protect settlers and stagecoaches, and enforce U.S. expansion into the West. For many of the men, military life was new. Some had been freedmen, some had fought for the Union during the Civil War, and others were seeking stability and a way to earn respect in a society that had long denied them dignity. Each man carried more than a rifle. He carried hope, pride, and a determination to prove that courage and honor knew no color. Training was harsh. Horses bucked, rifles jammed, and the scorching sun offered no mercy. Drill instructors pushed the men to their limits. Sweat soaked uniforms, muscles ached, and blisters tore at hands and feet. Yet through every challenge, bonds were formed. Men laughed, grumbled, and encouraged one another. They became more than soldiers. They became brothers, united by purpose and the knowledge that the eyes of a nation, skeptical, prejudiced, curious, were upon them. By the time the 9th Cavalry mustered in New Orleans and the 10th Cavalry in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, the Buffalo Soldiers were ready to ride. They crossed rivers, plains, and deserts, facing dangers both natural and human. Their path was not just one of military duty, but a journey to claim respect, to prove that African American men could serve, fight, and excel against overwhelming odds. Imagine them riding at dawn across endless prairie, the sun casting long shadows over horses and riders. Dust swirls into the air, painting the scene in muted gold. Their rifles gleam, hands steady, eyes sharp, every muscle ready for whatever threat may emerge. They carried no illusions. The West was wild, and their mission was dangerous. The nickname Buffalo Soldiers emerged from this era. Native Americans are said to have given it to them, drawing a comparison between the soldiers' resilience, dark hair, and fighting spirit, and that of the mighty buffalo that roamed the plains. It was a name of respect, a recognition of toughness, endurance, and courage in the face of a harsh and hostile environment. The Buffalo Soldiers were not just warriors, they were builders. They constructed roads, forts, and telegraph lines, expanding the reach of a nation still healing from civil war. Every mile of trail they patrolled, every fort they defended carried significance. They were both soldiers and symbols, representing a people long denied a voice. Their service was not easy. The western frontier was unforgiving. They faced hostile terrain, blistering heat, freezing winters, and the constant threat of attack. Native tribes resisting displacement sometimes clashed with soldiers, and outlaws roamed the plains, preying on settlers and travelers. Every mission required vigilance, skill, and courage. The Buffalo Soldiers faced another enemy, prejudice within their own army. White officers and fellow soldiers often doubted them, assigning them the most grueling tasks or questioning their capabilities. Pay was low, living conditions rough, and opportunities for advancement limited. Yet these men persevered, transforming skepticism into admiration through relentless discipline and extraordinary bravery. One turning point came during a long patrol in Texas. The 9th Cavalry, escorting a wagon train through treacherous terrain, was ambushed. Outnumbered, outgunned, and under fire, the soldiers held their ground. Every man fought with a determination born of necessity and pride. Horses reared, rifles cracked, and dust and smoke mixed in the air as bullets tore through the plains. By the end of the skirmish, casualties were sustained, but the mission was successful. The enemy was repelled, the wagon train safe. Their actions proved their worth and earned grudging respect from even the harshest critics. Despite victory in battle, the moral complexities of their service weighed heavily. The Buffalo Soldiers were African American men enforcing U.S. expansion into lands historically occupied by Native Americans. They carried the burden of fighting for a nation that had denied them freedom, while simultaneously displacing others. These contradictions were silent companions on every march and patrol, yet the men remained committed to their duty. Their resilience was remarkable. Over decades of service, the Buffalo Soldiers engaged in nearly 100 battles and skirmishes, fought in some of the harshest conditions imaginable, and maintained a reputation for bravery and professionalism. They became a living testament to courage under pressure, a symbol that determination and skill could overcome both natural and human obstacles. Life on the frontier tested the Buffalo Soldiers beyond combat. Harsh winters left them cold and frostbitten. Summer brought blistering heat that sapped strength. Food was often scarce, rations minimal, and illness a constant threat. Horses and mules were vital companions, yet caring for them was another responsibility amid patrols and battle. Despite these hardships, the Buffalo Soldiers built communities within their ranks. Mess tents became places of camaraderie. Letters from home inspired hope. Music, stories, and small celebrations offered relief from the relentless grind of frontier life. They learned to depend on one another not just in battle, but in survival, creating bonds that would last a lifetime. Discipline and skill were non-negotiable. Officers drilled men for hours, perfecting formations, horsemanship, and marksmanship. Mistakes could be fatal, not just in battle, but in the harsh wilderness where one misstep could cost a life. Every day demanded vigilance, resilience, and courage. Yet the Buffalo Soldiers thrived. They became renowned for their endurance, training, and ability to operate in extreme conditions. Their reputation spread across the frontier, respected by allies, feared by outlaws, and acknowledged by Native Americans who gave them their legendary name. The Buffalo Soldiers' service spanned the American West, from Texas and New Mexico to Arizona and California. They protected settlers from raids, escorted stagecoaches, guarded mail routes, and fought in skirmishes with outlaws and hostile forces. Their adaptation and skill made them indispensable on the frontier. One notable campaign involved long patrols across the arid deserts of Arizona. Water was scarce, the sun relentless, and terrain treacherous. Yet the Buffalo Soldiers completed missions with precision, protecting remote settlements and maintaining order. Their ability to survive and thrive in such conditions earned them widespread respect. They also contributed to infrastructure. Roads, telegraph lines, and forts built by the Buffalo Soldiers expanded America's reach and facilitated communication and trade. Their labor was critical to the westward expansion of the United States, though often overlooked in history. Their bravery was recognized by both peers and adversaries. Native Americans, who often fought against U.S. expansion, acknowledged their toughness. Settlers and government officials relied on their skill, integrity, and resilience. Over time, the Buffalo Soldiers became legendary figures in the folklore of the American West. The Buffalo Soldiers' impact extended far beyond the frontier. They paved the way for future generations of African American soldiers, demonstrating that courage, skill, and honor are not defined by race. They shattered myths of inferiority and demanded respect through their actions, inspiring countless others to serve. Their story also reflects the complexities of American history. They were a people once enslaved, now enforcing the policies of a nation that had not fully accepted them. They faced prejudice from within their own ranks, battled harsh natural conditions, and fought against foes who challenged every step of their mission. Yet they persevered, leaving a legacy of resilience, skill, and courage. The Buffalo Soldiers became cultural icons. Their name endures, a symbol of bravery, discipline, and determination. They inspired books, films, and memorials that honor their contribution to American history. Their story reminds us that heroism is often born in hardship, and that true courage
persists even when recognition is delayed. The Buffalo Soldiers teach us that courage is more than facing enemies. It is standing firm in the face of prejudice, adversity, and moral complexity. Their lives remind us that true heroism is demonstrated through consistency, integrity, and perseverance, not just in dramatic battles, but in everyday acts of resilience and service. Their legacy challenges us to honor those who served quietly, who built nations with both rifle and labor, and whose stories remind us that history is richer when we acknowledge the contributions of all its participants. In a world still grappling with injustice and inequality, the Buffalo Soldiers stand as a testament to the strength of the human spirit. They carried hope into deserts and prairies, built order from chaos, and proved that bravery and dignity are universal. If you were inspired by the story of the Buffalo Soldiers, of courage, perseverance, and triumph against incredible odds, subscribe to Dark History Exposed for more hidden chapters of history. Next time, we'll uncover another forgotten story of heroism, struggle, and resilience that shaped the world. Stay curious and never stop exploring the shadows of the past.